So, Sammy, I'm going to ask you the question just to kind of get up to speed here. What are you at? What is Sammy Kohn these days? I mean, I've known you for the majority of my life at this point, but for the people who are tuning in, who's like, "Oh, this is the Watchmen drummer." Well, I thought he had long hair when I watched the Boneyard Tree video. It's been a few moments since then. So, what are you doing? What's the story?
Well, what have I been doing? I mean, God, it's quite a loaded question. I mean, listen, you and I go back way back, as you know, and I when the band sort of was officially sort of not part of my life for a while, I made a big decision to. I remember it very clearly. Do I continue to be sort of a drummer, a jobbing drummer, and find a band or find studio work and what have you? And I made the conscious decision to follow a bit of a different path, and that ended up being sales positions with different media publications, which I did for a number of years. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but from the time that I decided to sort of take that left turn to get sort of quote unquote a real job, I've been in various sales positions now. As of about 10 or 11 years ago, I got my real estate license, and because I figured if I'm going to sell something, I may as well sell the biggest thing that somebody owns. And you know, I've got lots of interests. Music is sort of the top of the list, as we both know. It's when you have the passion that we have. I know you're the same. It never goes away. It gets deeper and more a part of who you are. But I also I enjoy lots of different things, one of which is working with people buying and selling real estate. So I've been doing that, and that's sort of my work. And then in the back of my mind, I still have what I consider to be sort of more of a side hustle right now, and that's the work that we do together as the band. So that's kind of the short answer.
It's pretty cool. How like when you did Toronto Life, Now Magazine, Spotify, Twitter. No, not Spotify, Twitter.
Yeah, both Spotify and Twitter. Yeah,
Spotify and Twitter. So those were, I mean, at least three of those were still kind of in the music sector. Toronto Life was a little outside. What was it? How different was it going from selling ad space where you've got a huge margin of, you know, you start here and they start here and you meet somewhere in the middle? How different is that from selling a house, which is like, you know, selling a life to somebody?
Well, you know, it's a good question, because I often have people ask me, I can't see the through line from selling to from being a drummer in a band to selling. I mean, how did that happen, and how did it happen that you started working with media, selling advertising to selling houses? I mean, 20 plus years of being in the business of working with people and discovering their needs and what they want and such. It's the same thing, really, at the end of the day. Selling is a people-based skill, where you need to have a very thick skin, because it's often commission-based. And it's something that, as you know, comes naturally. It's my best quality. It's my worst quality. I can be a nudge.
Yeah, I've heard that word before.
Speak a little Yiddish. But that's a joke. I mean, that suggests that I'm trying to sort of pull the wool over my eyes. Selling is a skill with a real process where you, if you're working with somebody, you learn what they need, what they want, and if it matches what you're providing, and it's can be very, very satisfying, mutually satisfying. So originally, when I first found myself sort of out of work, I had no skills. I had to reinvent myself as not just the drummer for the Watchmen. We all carry that on our back a bit. I'm sure you do as well. Ken Tizzard from the Watchmen. You know, you'll always be that. It's something I think we're both very proud of. But you also want something that is more current to what you're doing and is more a little bit more up to date. So I remember Sarah said to me years ago, my wife Sarah, who you know well, I was discouraged 20 years ago. Just what am I going to do? My resume was clean with simply nothing on it other than some gold records. And he said, find something you're good at and you'll be proud of it too. You know, just kill it with something else, and you know what your skills are. And because I was looking for something, I didn't know what I was looking for, and I found myself to be very capable when it came to the selling. So, and that evolved to getting my license and working in real estate. I now work with a fantastic brokerage called Properly, which is very tech oriented. So I'm incorporating a lot of my interests as far as a bit of tech background and selling and real estate. So everything I've done is kind of leading up to what we're doing right now. And we're so lucky, Ken, you and I, that we get to go out and play. I mean, it's, you know, we're not going to get into the details. It's not a perfect situation because, you know,
Everybody has a lot of shit on their plate.
Well, people have shit on their plate. I guess, you know, we have different needs, and, you know, I'm not gonna, it's no secret, at least with the three of you guys, that I'm certain shows, I'm like, do we want to go back and do that for the 15th time? You know, it's, if we're going to do it, I think we all have different criteria as far as what we're looking for. But the caveat with me is I still don't take it for granted that we get to do that. Let me turn the tables, because I know how I feel about it and what it means to have been doing this, or have to be able to do this for 30 years. Why do you think that we're able to do it 30 years in? How the hell are we able to do this?
I mean, honestly, there's a few realities here. You know, the 30 years that we spent, the majority of those 30 years, we didn't make a lot of money. You know, I mean, we could have, you know.
Hey. You weren't getting big checks sent to you?
I know you and Joey and Danny got all the big checks. I understand that.
Shit, man, this is horrible. This is a real scoop on Zoom.
I know. This is we're uncovering a whole mystery here.
I thought, and they must have just bounced all those checks.
I know. Wrong address or something. Yeah, there's a pile of checks waiting for me in Toronto on Adelaide Street.
That's funny.
But the money, you know, I kind of see that as 25 years or 20 years of planting seeds. And, you know, now those seeds have grown into, you know, at the time we were planting seeds to, you know, young people that had no money and could afford $6 or $8 to go into a club and see a band. That audience now is stuck with us for 20 plus years. And they are an audience that don't mind spending good money to go to a nice venue and watch the band and support us. And that allows us to do it now, you know, from a financial point of view. It's much greater than it's ever been, because those seeds have turned into something. Right. And I know for me, I mean, the drive for me is I just love getting, I don't play rock and roll anymore. You know, I play country and folk and all that stuff. I love getting on the stage with my 810 bass amp and fucking hammering through those songs. It's so much fun. And we do it. You know, I've been invited to play with other bands, and I have played with a lot of other bands, but outside of the Thornley stuff, when it comes to rock and roll, you know, we do it better than anybody else. So, you know, all the other times I do it, I'm kind of like, this isn't the same. It's not the same. So I love coming back to that. And I will probably never have that with another band again.
No, you won't.
So the history and everything that we have and everything that we've laid out, that to me is so valuable. You know, I love the fact that we can go out and do, you know, what we do when we can. And then it's just a matter of people scheduling. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's fantastic. I love it. You know, I know that the four of us have been together for so long. And I mean, you and Danny are cousins, for God's sakes. You guys have known each other since you were infants. So, I mean, the amount of bitching and kvetching that we do amongst the four of us is unheard of between any other circle that I have in this world.
Never stops.
But at the same time, that's because we've got so much history and so much passion for what we've done, right? And what we still do.
Yeah, I mean, no band is perfect. Every band has its shtick and its problems. I think we've gotten better at communicating. You know, maybe not better, but I think we're maybe a little wiser. We know that we don't move directly to pushing each other's buttons to piss each other off. We know that there's something that we each cherish here, and that's the fact that we're able to do this, and we're careful with that. We don't go into any really sort of high risk situations that allows us to continue to do it. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, something I also reflect on from time to time, you know, when you asked me to do this, I thought about, you know, you and I are a rhythm section. And yeah, you're right. We're not going to have the band you started with people who you were kids with. That can never happen again. I mean, if you're lucky to have that, where you play with people that you met when you were really young and you still have it, then you're really lucky. Because like you said, you're going to go play the Horseshoe at midnight on a Tuesday with another rock band. Sure, you'll have fun, but it's just not the same. You won't have those deep roots. Yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, we have that's we're so fortunate to have that. And you and I, as far as a rhythm section are concerned, we never talk about it. I don't speak to you that often. I don't come for dinner. I don't, whatever, but we go right back into it as far as what we've kind of built, the two of us, which is really unique. You know, we look at each other at one time. I was thinking about this when I was jogging the other day, because I was thinking about our conversation before Brighter Hell, to get the one, we look at each other for that 1 second, you know, because you're usually fucking, you know, you're usually off, you know, on something. It's usually you. And but otherwise it's just completely inherent, you know. It's like it's just complete muscle memory, even if it's not, if we stray into some sort of improvisational territory, I totally trust that you're going to just follow me, and vice versa. And I tease you about being, you know, super busy as a bass player. You know, that's the running joke.
Exactly.
But the truth is, it wouldn't work any other way, because I feel like I play sort of to the best of my abilities. Mm-hmm. I'm not a technical drummer. I'm not a technician. I'm a groove based, meat and potatoes drummer. And somehow, I don't know if this is by design or organically, it matches really nicely with your style, which is, you know, more technical, and it just works. So yeah, we're lucky, you know. It's a really nice.
I've always been amazed at the bridge that me and you and Joey create for Danny to stand on, you know, like and like you say, you are really about groove, time, and just sort of keeping that pocket nice and deep. I go a little outside, you know, sort of every now and again with a little bit of extra melodicism or chordal stuff. And then Joey kind of paints it all together. I don't think that a lot of bands understand the amount of work it takes to get that. You know, they hear bands doing it and they kind of go, oh yeah, sounds cool. And even if they analyze it, they go, yeah, cool. But how do you get to that? I mean, how many hours did we spend working on a 4-bar bridge for Bicycle? You know, for example, like, I mean, that would have probably been us for days at the rehearsal hall playing the same 8 bars over and over again until we each had a part that complemented each other. That process is really, people will never have an insight into that. You don't know it until you've been through it.
Yeah.
You know, for example, I mean, and this wasn't a planned bridge, but I watched that Beatles documentary recently. Not Get Back, Let It Be. What was it called? Let It Be. No, Get Back. Get Back, but it was about the making of Let It Be, right?
Yeah.
I assume you've heard of the Beatles?
I'm familiar with their work. Yes.
Have you heard of this movie thing that's out that was done?
Kidding me? I watched it the day it came out. I was like, I locked myself in my bedroom, like, nobody speak to me. I'm watching this for 8 hours. It was like, I did not think I could love that band any more than I already did. You know that I'm a monster fan.
I know you are, and we've had that discussion for a long time, because I'm not particularly a Beatles fan. And when I say that, that doesn't mean I don't respect them. Yeah. Well, you know that I respect the music. I love it. I appreciate it. I've studied it. It's not studied it, but I've looked at the organization and the arrangements, and it's brilliant. But I don't have a lot of Beatles in my collection. And Mr. Grant is a Beatles fan the way that you are, with the difference that he lived through it as a teenager. So like those songs were, you know, in those really key years for him, and waiting for Beatles albums to come out and hearing about a friend who had a record across town and having to go listen to it and stuff. So when I watched the movie with him, it was fascinating, especially when they were doing like those little parts where they'd show them just kind of sitting around noodling and they'd play a part of something that became a song. And hearing Mr. Grant's frustration when they were trying to find words, and he was like, no, the word is this, the word, just watching his energy trying to see them get to where they were was fascinating to me.
He's that old, that guy?
Yeah.
No, it's there's no question it was a sort of a snapshot of something that Beatle fans had never seen, and that's the just the making of these songs. We've had there was the Beatle anthology, and there's no band that has sort of, the word exploited sounds negative, but there's no band who's worked with their back catalog with as much taste and class for their fans as much as well as the Beatles have, with Love and with their reissues and with the demos of the White Album, and just everything they've done is just so perfect, because so many bands make a lot of money when somebody dies. It happens, and when they break up. And then other bands, certain bands, there's like, I'll say it, like the Doors, for instance. I find that their legacy is, it's just been tarnished by some of the stuff they've done. The Doors of the 21st century, with Stuart Copeland drumming and Ian Astbury singing, and just like, it's so clear that they're scraping something together to resurrect what they're doing. You might get some hate mail from this, who knows? But that to me is an example of just, it seems like it's about the paycheck a little bit, where certainly at the end of the day, the Beatles are a corporation. They're interested in making lots of money, but it's also it's so amazing for the fans to see that, and just to see them, smoking joints and talking shit and teasing each other and hamming it up with playing covers, and just the insights into the scrapes and scraps of them working up these songs. And it was fascinating. Absolutely. I can't wait I'll probably watch it again. I can't wait. So
yeah, I will too. I like I said, it's not that I don't like the Beatles. It's just that I hadn't been sucked into them, I guess.
Well, I think the Beatles, for anybody who isn't sort of a huge fan, they associate them with just the monster hits that they hear ad nauseum when they're in the elevator, when they're everywhere. So until you explore some of the deeper catalog, and that's kind of oxymoron, because none of it is particularly deep, because their fans are huge fans, and there's not a lot of rare material out there. But pick up the White Album and just explore some of those kind of deeper tracks. You'll see the diversity just from a songwriting standpoint. It's a lesson in brilliant songwriting from three people. I love the
amazing songwriting.
I related to it a little bit. I'm not even going to suggest that there's anything similar to what the Beatles did, what the Watchmen do, but you remember us trying to write songs collectively. It was horrific. It was
really hard.
Called it Blood from a Stone. And that's not hyperbole. So, and when watching them try to squeeze blood from a stone, where they leave frustrated, have good days, bad days. And it was, it was great. I loved it. Sorry, you go ahead, and then I want to show you something. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was fascinated by it because during the entire thing, I kept saying, God, this is so reminiscent of what we did with the Watchmen. But in the back of my head, there was somebody slapping me saying, God, you're not the Beatles, Ken. Stop thinking like that. But the reality is, success and say that their material is much stronger than the Watchmen, however you want to phrase it, I don't care. But the reality is, we went through the same process. That day after day of just like, what does anybody have? Did anybody come up with a lick last night? Anybody got a lyric? And moving off of that. I mean, that's fascinating. That I loved watching somebody else do that. I think that was one of two things that really drew me into the documentary. The other thing was that I always thought that, you have to take a side when you talk about a band, or, you have your favorite person. I always thought that I was a Lennon guy because I like Lennon's later solo work. But watching this movie, man, I'm a McCartney guy all the way. In fact, watching the movie kind of took some of the myth and mystery out of the Lennon character as I had him formed in my head. He was almost childish at times, which was really interesting. But yeah, seeing the characters like that. I mean, McCartney, man, he ran the show
at that point in the band's.
Is that what it was at that point?
I think I think he was trying to. The history books suggest that George obviously had a foot out the door because he left during that process. Ringo was the peacemaker and just kind of went along with things, and Lennon was losing interest kind of by the day, and his band. And Paul's band was kind of falling apart. So this is nothing new, but the fans know that at that point, you're right, that Paul was just trying to keep it all together. He wrote the lion's share of that album, and his best friend John was, who he loved, was with Yoko now, and
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of a long story. But I want to can I show you something? Can we
Yes,
shift
please.
gears for a second? I want to show you, and because I told you I saw the show the other day, and I got you this shirt.
Love it.
So you have to lose weight, man, because it's a medium.
It's a medium. I can do a medium.
I got it for my son originally, and my wife won't let my son wear a circle jerk shirt to school. And so I thought, who better?
That's
than you?
fantastic.
I did get you these stickers thinking of you originally, because I know that you're a fan. I got these for you.
Oh, the original sticker, the schoolroom sticker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The group sex sticker is great too. Yeah.
So I got these for you, but then you can, you know, if you want to hang the shirt up, whatever you want to do, I got it for you. But, and I was thinking to myself, I saw the circle jerk. So yeah, as you know, I was sending you videos. I went alone because there's nobody else on the planet right now that would want to come to see the circle jerks with me except you, but you couldn't make it.
I wanted to so bad, but yeah.
I know it was, you know, first of all, it was a proper LA hardcore punk rock show like I've never seen. Like I've only seen the decline of Western civilization, like those movies with a proper kind of violent pit, and it was like old Toronto punk rockers at this show, people who weren't just like teenage punk rockers with a mohawk for 10 minutes and then they get a bank job. I'm talking about like, these are people who have remained loyal to punk rock. And it was an incredible thing. Anybody who suggests that hardcore is not a sort of a technical proper genre, to see these guys, they would do the same thing. They would do 5 songs and then a break, 5 songs, then a break. But between each of those 5 songs, there would be a quarter of a second, like a millisecond, and then into the next one. And they would just be in chunks of 5. And then Keith Morris would talk and then rant about, you know, the Canadian government and blah, 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 blah. He'd drink some water and then he'd kick into the next 5 and then bang, like just like a white heat. But anyway, it was just, I loved it. It was so good just to see these guys, their guitar. Yeah. Anyway, it was great. You would have loved it. So I got you a shirt. So there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. You know, it's funny because you know me, I mean, hardcore has always been one of my favorite genres. You know, there's several of them, but I've always listened to hardcore, and, you know, bands like DOA, SNFU, you know, these bands that I saw in the 80s, like I was listening to jazz and learning how to play bass as a teenager, but I went to see these bands and they were as technically proficient as any other band, except they were playing in, you know, crappy little rooms with a broken PA. But the actual, you know, the technical, you can't play that stuff. You know, you can't get to a level of the circle jerks, you know, 30 years of doing it without being really fucking good.
Yeah, no, it was, I've seen clips. It's just different listening to that music. You know, when I run, I'll listen to some of that, you know, just gets you pumped up, obviously. And the words are great. They're funny. And we know that, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is that seeing it live was really something I'd really never seen. I've seen some local punk rock bands, some Canadian stuff, but just to see kind of the real thing was super exciting. And it had a different feel to it than most shows. And that was just that kind of, that, I mean, I'm not going to say, it was just kind of had a violent overtone to it. Just seeing people, there was a mosh pit, not mosh, but it was like a, what's it called? At a punk show, not like there was like a pit.
Mosh pit. Yeah.
Was it a mosh? Yeah.
The mosh pit. Like, was it the circular one where everybody was kind of
it was like holy shit, this is real. Like Keith Morris had to kind of calm people down at one point, and it was just, and I'm sitting there, you know, this middle-aged Jewish guy in a Canada Goose jacket in the corner there, you know, trying to take it all in. But anyway, it was a great show.
The last mosh pit that I went into was Suicidal Tendencies at the Masonic Hall, and the mosh pit was probably about 200 people. And me and Danny Thomas, you remember Danny Thomas?
Yeah.
Me and Danny Thomas were sort of on the side of the mosh pit and was watching Suicidals, and I was loving it. And Danny just kind of says, "Okay, Tizzard, it's time." And he grabbed me, and the two of us went into the pit. And I mean, I was probably 30 at the time, and we did a few minutes in the pit, and it was just like, okay, that's enough of that. That's what a crazy amount of fun, though. I mean, I spent my time in the pit as a teenager. It was great, you know. I mean, that was just where you wanted to be, but yeah, it's not my place anymore. But I did miss the not being able to see the Circle Jerks. I'm hoping that Off come through Toronto, and that's again Keith Morris singing.
Yeah, I don't know if they're not really, they're kind of defunct now. Keith Morris got COVID 2 days after they played Toronto.
Yeah,
and I think he's better now. But yeah, they're kind of milking the nostalgia thing. But yeah, I'm sure. Them. Yeah, no, it's exactly. It's
again, it's all those seeds that people planted. I mean, you know, these punk bands, I mean, they toured through the height of their careers doing shows with a $2 cover. You know, they didn't make a lot of money. And the fact that they can go out now and do it is, you know, again, I think fantastic. You know, it makes it the ability for 4 middle-aged or older guys to go on the road. You know, there's a financial support system there for them to do it now. And that's allowing these bands to come back out. It's funny. I've recently come to the realization, like when I was growing up, there was no senior citizen rock bands. You know, if you went to a senior's home, they were listening to Lawrence Welk and Vera Lynn and stuff on the stereo. But that wasn't because you can't be an old rocker. It's just because rock and roll hadn't been around that long. Mm-hmm. So we're hitting a point now, sort of 60, 70 years into the evolution of electronic music, where you're going to be going to nursing homes and there's going to be guys sitting in the corner listening to Black Flag and DOA. And seriously, they're going to have Circle Jerks t-shirts on in the old age home. I mean, it's going to be me and you in a few years. But I'm also realizing that I'm also realizing that the older generation of rockers is here now for the first time, you know, and we have these bands. DOA is touring again. You know, I mean, Phil Collins just sort of finally hung his hat up. You know, there's a lot of these older performers out. I find it fascinating.
You've mentioned Lawrence Welk, Phil Collins, and Circle Jerks in the same sentence. So that's diverse. That's great.
That's got to cover some ground, I guess. Yeah.
Let me ask you something before we kind of wrap up here. I got to go play some catch with my daughter, or else she's going to kill me. But
of course.
Are you 2 questions? Are you going to go back to doing your Wednesday live thing, or is this kind of your new?
I think I can't right now. Allison's still. I can't. It's hard for me to get out of the house. So for at least the next year, I'm focusing on you know, Watchmen shows, sort of festival shows that are worthy for me to be out, and developing the show, the Whiskey Wednesday show. I'm actually upgrading a bunch of hardware in a couple of weeks too. So I'm going to really put the focus into this for the next year. Online is where I'm going to live for a while. I mean, I do want to get back on the road, but at the same time, I don't know if at 55, I want to get into a van and start going out and doing, you know, 6 shows a week, but who knows?
I guess I was talking more about the Wednesday thing you do. I remember you used to do it live at your pub, but now from what you've told me, you were a little bit kind of reticent at the beginning doing it online every Wednesday, but it seems to have developed into something that's almost bigger and better than what you were originally doing.
It absolutely is. Yeah, no, it is.
So I guess you'll have to just continue through that, and you've got guests now and everything, and it's like you can't do that if you're just playing at your local pub, right? So
no, the Wednesday thing will stay the Whiskey Wednesday show. It won't go back to a bar again. I just it's turned into something else. It's weird. Me and Allison talk about it a lot because it came out of nowhere for me. Like I can't put a tangible. There are so many things in the last 10 years where I said, I want to go from here to here. And I ended off here. And I had no reason for that to happen. And this is the weirdest one. This is the one that sort of just came out of the blue, and it's turned into, you know, I'm working with Trainer and Yorkville. I've got an alcohol sponsor, Longtooth. The interview things are happening. I'm actually getting, every week now, I'm getting emails from publicists like in LA and stuff saying, we've got guests that we want on your show. And it's interesting because I want to keep it, I want the guest part of it to still be friends that I'm just chatting with, like me and you. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm getting, you know, oh, this actor was in all these movies and he has a new career now and putting his album out. You know, we're looking for 5 minutes on your show. And I'm like, what am I going to do with somebody I don't know who has a brand new career that I know nothing about? Like that's
they're on the promotional circuit, and they're thinking if you've got a bit of an audience, they want to
exactly
to that. And no, it's not a bad thing. I mean,
it's not a bad thing. It's just
most.
Again, it's just turning into something that I didn't intend, but I'm totally embracing it. Yeah, I do quite like it.
Well, you're doing a good job, my friend.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Keep going. I guess we'll, what is it? It's almost May. We've got some shows in June. So
we do. I'm going to be seeing you face to face before too long.
Sounds good, man.
Okay,
thanks for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Yes, well, I always enjoy chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to the people who are watching finding out about Sammy and what he's doing these days. There's lots of interest in Sammy Kohn. And if you're looking for a house, Sammy Kohn Real Estate, I'll put all that stuff up. Sammy, make sure to email me all your correct links so I can put them up and make sure that they're in the right place. So maybe we can sell you, I don't know, what do we think? You're gonna get 7 sales out of this interview?
I don't know, man. It's not about, it's just about the, just the love of the job. But say hi to your family, and we'll see you in a little while, man. Okay.
Okay, buddy. You take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.